Pistol!
Please select your language. Gengo o sette shite kudasai. Yeah, I'm gonna play in English. Welcome back to Peace Storm. We're playing Chaos Head. And now, I have never played any game in the Science Adventure series before, so... But I've wanted to get into it for a long time, so we're finally gonna see what it's about. I'd guess it's about science. And also adventure. There's supposed to be no sound? Oh, okay, there it is. Let me just check my volume real quick. Okay. Seems good. Maybe turn it up a little bit. Yeah, here we are. Playing Chaos Head. Now, let's start. Eyes were above me, their gaze pouring down on me. Those eyes were always watching me. Their gaze passed through the thick black rain clouds and came down on me like rain. I mean, what else would the... Okay. Don't look at me. More than the rain's chill, the cold of the rubble beneath my back made my body shiver endlessly. It's so cold. And the gaze that bored into me from above the sky, whose it was, I don't know. I lifted my head a little and looked around, seeking a way to escape it. I saw the shattered remains of a city. I saw despair. I saw death. I saw nothingness. Nobody was there. Nobody was moving. Nobody was alive. All I heard was the unending sound of falling rain. Was the rain going to keep falling? Until it washed away everything, the living and the dead? Until it had gently submerged everything and swept it away? Now I see why it's... Part of me hoped this was all just a simple delusion, but I guess I wasn't so lucky. Now I know why this remake is called Chaos Head Noah. My body refused to move. The only things I could move were my head and my eyes, just barely at that. My body was shaking, but that was just an involuntary reflex. It wasn't my will. I didn't want my body to shake. If my body wouldn't listen to me, then it wasn't really my body at all. Maybe it never listened to me in the first place. Nobody knows where the soul is really kept, after all. So who could be sure that my soul was really inside this body? But if that was the case, then where was I? Was I here? Was I nowhere? In this broken world where nothing moved, I suddenly heard a sound that wasn't the rain of death. A single someone came out from the nothingness. Who are you?
その肌が青白く見えるのは
Do you look so pale because you're cold?
雨の冷たさに凍えているからそれとも
Or because you're dead?
でも
But
彼女は震えてい
she
なかった
wasn't shivering, and her
そ
eyes,
して前
which
髪
were
で
hidden
隠れそう
almost
になっている
completely
その
beneath
瞳
her
は
bangs,
奥を見るな
don't look at me.
ひどく悲しそうにも見える
They looked so sad,
狂気じみているようにも
but
見え
they
る
also seemed filled with madness.
何も映していない
They
ように
seemed
も
like they
見える
weren't seeing anything at all.
もしも
If maybe
世界には僕と彼女の二人だけしかいなくて
the only things in this world were her and me,
お互いだけ
and
を
we
永
kept
遠に
looking
見
at
つめ
one
合って
another
いたら
like this forever.
僕の世界は
Would my world be only what was reflected in her eyes?
彼女の世界は
And would her world be only what was reflected in my eyes?
彼女の瞳に映るものは僕
In her eyes, I was
僕の
reflected.
瞳に映る
In
もの
my
は
eyes,
彼
she
女
was reflected. When I thought about it that way,
世界は
the
途端
world
に矮
suddenly
小化する
seemed so much smaller.
不意に僕の耳に届く
Suddenly, I heard static that sounded so pretty.
彼女はうなだれて
Her head fell forward,
両手を左右に広げる
and she spread out her hands
まるであの雨雲の上へ向けて
as
飛
if
び
she
立
was
とう
about
と
to
する
take
か
flight toward those rain clouds,
あるいは
or as if she were trying to take
受け止めようとす
all
るか
the rain into her hands. Whoa! The delusion that stares at you.
うなだれた彼女の表情は
With her head bent forward,
からも伺い知る
I couldn't see the look on her face from where I lay.
雨の白幕の向こうで君はどんな顔
What
を
do
して
you
いる
look like behind the veil of rain between us? I'll give you your rest now. An
ジャン
angel?
プする光の羽は
Are those
僕を
wings of
祝
light
福しているの
a
か
blessing upon
それ
me?
とも
Or,
ああ
oh,
そうか
now I see.
理解したよ
I
それ
understand.
で僕を
You're going
殺
to
して
use
くれ
that
る
to
んだ
kill me, aren't you?
ゆっくりと
Slowly,
倒れている僕の前に
she dropped to
彼
her
女が膝を
knees
つく
in front of me.
いまだに彼女はうなだれた
She
まま
was still bent forward.
僕の頭をそっと抱えてくる
She embraced my head
僕を見て
gently.
くれないことに
I felt relieved
僕はほっとし
that
て
she wasn't looking at
た
me
だ身を委ねた
and let her take me into her arms.
耳元でささやき
She whispered in my
綺麗
ear
なノイズ
the pretty static,
でも
but
よく聞こえな
I
い
couldn't make out what she was saying.
暖かくて
I felt something
柔らか
warm,
くて
soft,
優しくて
gentle,
甘美な感触
and sweet.
それは
It
麻酔
was
のようで
titties.
不思議なことに
Strangely,
体の震えがゆっく
I
りと
felt my body shaking slow,
彼
then
女の
stop.
かすかな鼻息が
The faint sensation
僕の頬を
of her
くすぐ
breathing tickled my cheeks.
とても甘い匂
I
い
smelled something so very sweet. Suddenly,
胸に圧迫感を
I
覚え
felt a
た
pressure on my chest.
彼女の持っていた
The
大きな
huge sword in
剣
her
が
hands tore through the
僕
skin
の
of
胸
my
の皮膚を
chest,
裂き
ripped through the meat behind it, slid between the bones, and sank through my
ゆっく
body,
りと体の中に沈み込んできて
sinking through my body. But
彼女のキスという麻酔にかけられて
her kiss was like a drug,
もう痛みを感じない
and I felt no
こん
pain.
なにも優しく殺してくれる
She
か
was
ら
going to kill me in such a gentle
不意に
way.
切なくなって
Suddenly, I
涙
felt
が溢れ
sad,
そうになって
like my tears were going to start overflowing, and to stop
彼
myself,
女の頭越しに
I looked over her shoulder at the dull gray, rainy sky. Was the sky so blurry because of the rain? Or because of my tears? I didn't feel the gaze anymore. There was nothing left. As I fell into unconsciousness, I reached my hand up toward the sky. Someone, tell me. Where did that sky of ours go? Well, that was quite the opening. I'm guessing this is some post-apocalyptic fiction here. Was she like, what the fuck? What? Okay. Planking and levitating and getting sliced in half. Just another Friday night, folks. Or Thursday night. I'm recording this on a Thursday night. Don't know when I'm uploading it, though. But I guess if you're watching this right now, you know when it was uploaded. That kid looks old as fuck. Or maybe it was an old man clinging to his youth. I mean, given what I know so far about this game, it could go either way. You can't see a gaze. Am I supposed to click? Okay. It can see you, but you can't see it. It's weird. For as long as I could remember, I'd often felt a gaze staring at me from somewhere. I would turn around, nobody would be there. But I'd be sure somebody was looking at me. I could feel this sensation, like something crawling on my neck. Was I just too self-conscious? Did I have some kind of phobia about being looked at? Okay, I think it's the same guy from the opening. So I should try and go for the same voice. Up until elementary school, I honestly believed that it was God. God is watching me, I would say. So kind of like a Solid Snake, but in high school, before he took up chain smoking. I wrote an essay about something like that. Of course, looking back, I realized how silly it was. I was the biggest chuny dork. I think this game does have a glossary, but just in case, I guess I'll explain right now what chuny means. It's a Japanese word meaning like, I think the literal meaning is like 8th grade syndrome, which is basically like, I think many people, especially in Japan, went through that phase in high school where they have like delusions of grandeur, like not like literal, like basically they try to make themselves sound cooler than they actually are by like trying to convince people around them that they have superpowers and whatnot. Yeah, stuff like that. If somebody were to ever read that essay, I'd be so embarrassed. I'd never leave my house again. I still remember the thing's title. Whose eyes are those? Whose footprints are these? Whoa! The back of the chair I was resting in made a creaking sound, like the voice of an old woman. What? Don't look at me. I whispered those words as I looked up at the ceiling, feeling sick and annoyed. Of course, no one responded. This was my room. I lived alone. Nobody was here but me. Just for the hell of it, I turned around. The room was longer than it was wide, and it was a little dark. Looks like a prison cell, dude. It's a lot of figurines. The only light in the room came from my computer's desk light. There were no windows, so of course it was dark. Oh, so this computer's running Mac. Since I had no way of looking outside, I had no way of knowing if it was light or day. Night or day. I turned toward a corner of the dark room and spoke to no one in particular. My name is Takumi Nishijo. I'm 17 years old. I'm a second-year student at Suimei Academy. I barely ever go to school, though. Well, I guess I'm pretty smart, at least. I always show up to take my tests, and I usually get above average grades. Yeah, I'm pretty smart. Of course, nothing happened when I said this. Nobody appeared out of the darkness. The dark space just existed, silently. But darkness stimulates the mind, makes it see delusions. Not being able to see whatever's there makes it an unknown. You know in your head what's impossible, but somewhere inside your heart you imagine terrible things lurking within the darkness. Geez, whenever a scary delusion popped into my head, my mind always ran away with it. I kept talking to try and shake it out of my mind. Right now I live alone, away from home. I mean, in Shibuya. I live on the top of the Kurenai building, which my dad's real estate company owns. They rent me a really cheap little house here made out of a shipping container. What? Mans lives in a shipping container. Living in this city sucks. The part of Shibuya I live in, Shinsencho, has a lot of little hills that tire you out when you're walking. There are a bunch of love hotels right next to where I live, too. I really wish I lived in Akihabara. Yeah, Shibuya is a total shithole. It's as bad as Dean's Valley and ESO. ESO was the MMORPG that I had made my life's work. It's short for Empire Sweeper Online. I spent almost all day, and almost all night, playing the game, passing my time in the world of Basilard. I don't know. Dean's Valley is an area in ESO with a lot of really aggravating monsters in it. They use all kinds of obnoxious status ailment attacks, and they don't really drop excellent items. Anybody who grinds there is an idiot. Good players give up on it quickly and head to the next area, the Forest of Leet. And obviously, I'm a good player. So yeah, this town with its DQNs and love capitalists needs to be blasted off the face of the earth. DQNs what? Dragon Quest nerds? What is... Can I... see, how do I... Tips list, okay. Pronounced Dokyun, a thug, bully, or someone who's part of the dregs of society. So yeah, Dragon Quest nerds. How do I exit out of this Mac window? Oh, he really does use a Mac. I've never used a Mac, so I don't actually know if that's what a Mac interface looks like. But let's see. This room, though, isn't so bad. My computer and my internet connection are both first-rate. For a student, I guess it's a pretty good base of operations. Oh, that's why I called this room the base. Of course, nothing in this room moved except for me. Talking to myself was starting to make me feel like an idiot, so I decided to stop introducing myself to whoever was watching me. This place is freaking filthy, though. It smelled moldy. The air was so stale and damp you could feel it on your skin. The floor was piled high with empty plastic drink bottles and trays left over from convenience store lunches. The bed was stacked high with H-games. I always ended up having to sleep on the sofa. Clean your room, you filthy sicko. What idiot made this mess anyway? Oh, I guess it was me. My creepy laugh kind of annoyed me, so I kicked the plastic bottle at my feet. This kid's got some issues. I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. It flew up almost high enough to hit my figure shelf. I screamed and leaned forward, using my own body to block it. I've almost got 100 wives, big sisters, and daughters, and I can't let them get hurt. They keep me going, so they're very important to me. Okay. I guess that's pretty cool. I cleaned and organized the shelf once a week. It was the only cleaning I did. Every day I tried to find new angles and positions to make them look cuter. I didn't want my beloved daughters and sisters getting dusty, so I always made sure to clean them. I breathed a sigh of relief and tossed the bottle into a corner, then faced back toward my PC. The PC sat in the far corner of my room. Next to the monitor was a figure from my favorite anime, BT, or Bloodtoon the animation, Seiratan, 1/8 scale pre-awakening version. What tip could there possibly be about that? The main character in the fictional anime Bloodtoon, her catchphrase is DORK! Very typical childhood friend tsundere-style character has a mysterious familiar named Something. 17 years old, a second-year student at Ryusei Academy. She can use star power to transform into a magical girl. As a magical girl, she has a baton she calls the Samurai Condenser. This weapon is more aptly described as a massive metal club than a baton, and at times she'll use it for physical attacks. In other words, smacking people with it. Bloodtoon was originally a manga, and would later go on to be adapted to other media. The series consists of 26 episodes and is currently still airing. Here we go. Yeah, the game can probably describe Chuni better than I can. A word used to describe the slightly strange behavior seen in adolescent Japanese boys. Also used to describe people who are no longer adolescents but who still behave like adolescents. A Chuni might make antisocial or nihilistic statements or engage in activities that seem to blur the line between fantasy and reality. They may act in grown-up ways despite being a child. The Chuni themselves think they look very cool, but from an adult perspective, they look ridiculous. The word itself comes from the Japanese for second year of middle school, the age when this behavior is thought to be most prevalent. MMORPG, I'm sure you all know what this means, but massively multiplayer online role-playing game. A game which allows a large number of players to participate in a single game world via a shared server. Okay, with all that out of the way, Let's continue the story. She smiled at me while posing cutely. Sarah, you're so cute, Sarah. I whispered as Sarah-tan and I stared into each other's eyes for a minute. Then I gulped down the bottle of soda next to the computer. It was lukewarm, but that didn't bother me. Now then, time for some ESO. I sank down to the chair and put my hands on the keyboard. Just the act of sitting at the computer was enough to calm me. My ESO character, Nightheart, was a paladin, already on his second reincarnation. He was level 50, the max of course. He was also the highest ranked player on any active server. Almost every player knew the name Lightning Fast Nightheart. And they all treated me like a god. Rare weapons, rare armor, rare magic, I had it all. I had 95% of all the rare items in the game. Not as many as I wanted, honestly. I had more money points than I could ever use in a lifetime. RMT, or real money trading, was how I made money to use in the real world. I had enough to survive for 6 months without having to get a part-time job. It's also highly illegal. I was a master of the chat tool. I used it for almost all my communication. I'd even saved a life on @chan, a huge message board once, and I was always there whenever a festival was going down. Oh right, and I had way more than 100 friends on Frepara. That's a social network. Respect, trust. It was all right here. I didn't go to school. It wasn't that I didn't want to go, just there was no point. I did all my studying on the internet, and obviously you can do that at home. Of course, you needed to attend a certain number of classes to graduate, so I went to just enough to get the bare minimum passing grade. This was the smartest way for a student to live. My parents were pretty obnoxious about this stuff. So I made myself a schedule for when I'd go to school. According to the sheet, all I had to do was go to school 2.5 times a week. The people who went every day call me a creepy otaku, but if you ask me, I'd tell you that they were morons just going because someone told them they should. Anyway, my life here is not that bad. Oh crap, I got so distracted by that gaze I forgot I was talking to Grim. Grim was the screen name of a guy I always partied up with in ESO. I never met him in real life, but we talked all the time online. He brought me a lot of valuable information. He was like my own personal informant, you could say. I sat down and began to type at the keyboard. Lol. Oh yeah, let's read this. Hey, Nightheart, what's wrong? You're not responding. Did you fall asleep? Sorry, I didn't fall asleep, but I kinda spaced out, lol. You must be really tired. You not sleeping enough? Doing hentai stuff with your GF? Lol. All day, all night? I'm not into 3D girls, lol. Grim and I would talk about all kinds of things. Since I couldn't see his face, it was easy to tell him anything. Of course, in the real world, that's not how it would go. So you're a 2D man then? H games? You're really in a hentai mood tonight, huh? You always have really perverted delusions though, right? You used to always talk about them. You were really into them. Something about doing naughty things with a girl in a school swimsuit? Was I? I don't really remember. Anyway, if that's what you want to talk about, then let's discuss it. Let's discuss something near to my heart. School swimsuit plus glasses. What is going on? Yes? I honestly don't know what it's asking me. A real school swimsuit has the girl's name written on the chest. Well, I mean, yeah. How are you gonna know who she is if she doesn't have her name written on it? There's no such thing as a white school swimsuit. School swimsuits have to be dark blue. That is not true. Oh, come on, man. You like glasses girls? Well, what's wrong with glasses girls? Swimsuit plus glasses, that's the thing. Normally you'd take your glasses off if you were going swimming, right? And yet the girl doesn't. That's what really gets the delusions going. A complete and utter perv. That's our Neidhart. We fear him, but we love him. Lol. Calm down, man. I mean, maybe I did get a little excited. I try to be the cool, silent type. Cool, lol. Don't laugh. Anyway, what were we talking about before I fell asleep? I mean, I'm sure it wasn't ESO stuff. You forgot? Come on, man. We were talking about the murders in the 3D world. The murders in the 3D world. Metal Gear. What was he talking about? Hello, Shogun. Sup? I said, but Shogun didn't reply. Was this asshole ignoring me? I was trying to be friendly here. Didn't he know who I was? I was lightning fast Neidhart, damn it. This is supposed to be a no lurker channel anyway. Well, whatever. I decided to ignore him. That's the nice thing about the internet. You don't have to care about other people unless you want to. So, what were we talking about, Graham? The murders. I don't care about anything 3D. It's probably something stupid anyway, right? Yeah, I guess. But pretty shocking still. Shocking. Some kind of grisly serial killings or something. A lot of bad stuff has been happening lately. More Guro pictures? Oh, right, you can't handle Guro, lol. I mean, I can handle it. No, I actually didn't want to see any of that stuff. There were a lot of fakes and altered images going around lately, and trolls love to set all kinds of traps. You ended up not seeing a lot of the stuff. You ended up seeing a lot of the stuff whether you wanted to or not. Well, I guess I'm starting to get used to it. And to think you're the strongest paladin in Basilard. I don't PK, though. PK meant player killing. It's when you attack a stranger and steal their equipment or money points. Only DQNs did that. DQNs were thugs and losers. The lowest form of life. Chew! I'm no chew. I don't do things that would make other people upset. What does chew mean? I genuinely don't know. Someone who acts or talks like a child. The chew comes from the word chugako, or middle school. I never violate ESO's rules. That's my policy. I did a shit ton of RMT, though. Yeah, you're the hero we all love and adore, lol. Mochitsuke. New generation. You know about it, right? Okay. Mochitsuke. A mid-2000s internet phrase meaning cool it. From the Japanese ochitsuke meaning calm down. New generation? What the hell was that? It wasn't something I already knew about, right? Grim seemed to act like I was supposed to know about it. What's New Gen? The New Generation Madness. They call it New Gen Online for short. It's the weird serial murders going on in Shibuya right now. It's all happening right near your house, lol. Oh, right. It was coming back to me. But I only knew the basic outline. I hadn't really looked into it. I searched for New Gen and got a hit immediately. Let me see. The 2 incidents that have taken place in Shibuya over the past month referred to as New Gen. There are 7 victims in total, including an unborn baby. The first was a group of 5 friends who jumped off a skyscraper together. The second was an unborn baby found in a man's stomach. Holy shit, that is a lot of blood. Wait, seriously? I felt a cold chill run down my spine. I found myself turning around again and glancing around the dark room. Taboo News had a lot of old articles about New Gen, so I quickly skimmed them. Suddenly, the whole internet was talking about it, calling it the New Generation Madness. There were 2 incidents. One was a murder case that was so brutal that some TV stations weren't even willing to have their anchors describe it. In the first one, the group dive off a skyscraper. There were rumors that it might have been a murder, too. The parents and friends of the deceased all said they weren't the type to commit suicide. There was no sign of a motive, and from a lot of other pieces of circumstantial evidence, it was supposedly impossible to believe they were about to kill themselves. I took a quick look. Well, started to shake and shiver? Not really. Don't care. Look at this, lol. Nah, I don't trust unfamiliar URLs, not even ones that I see in games. Yeah. I don't want to be getting a whole bunch of, like... Yeah. I don't want to be getting targeted ads because I went to GoroDaisuke.com. What is it? Picture of the corpse. Grim is enjoying making fun of me, huh? He did this stuff sometimes. But if I let him get me, I'd lose my reputation as Nightheart. No matter what I was in the real world, in ESO I was a god, the strongest. I knew everything. I was stronger than everybody. I was a knight fighting for justice. Nobody was going to make fun of me. I worked up my courage and clicked on the URL. What the hell was this picture? Lol, you got me, lol, lol. Who drew this, lol? I'm a little rusty on reading hiragana or katakana. I think that says Nosh. A tip probably. Oh, it's an emoji. Most people pronounce it Nosh after the reading of the Japanese letters used. I whooped it up in 2 minutes just now. You're our generation's Picasso, lol. Anyway, that was fun, but I'm gonna sleep. Night. See you tomorrow in Basilard. Oh right, that Shogun guy was still here. I'd totally forgotten about him. Not that he mattered. I wasn't feeling that tired, so I just decided to just do some grinding in ESO. Oh wait, today was the day Bloodtoon aired. I didn't have a TV in my room. All I needed was a PC. Just 15 more minutes till it starts, huh? Guess I'll go to the bathroom first. I looked at the figure of Seiratan next to my monitor and grinned. I was going to get to see her today. I couldn't wait. Just as I went to close the chat window, though... Huh? Shogun had typed something. Why is he talking all of a sudden? I thought it was just a lurker chew. From the file type, it looked like a link to an image, but... Someone I didn't know, and someone who'd never talked to me, was suddenly sending me a link. I gulped without even realizing I'd done so. I didn't know why, but I felt a terrible premonition, one I'd never felt with any interaction online before. Of course, I didn't want to click it. I glanced over at the clock. There were only 12 minutes left until my date with Seiratan. I need to wrap this up fast. Komei's trap. Slang used by 2000 Japanese otaku to refer to any type of clever trap. Komei is the Japanese name of the Chinese strategist Zhu. Please forgive me, any Chinese viewers who might be watching, for my horrible pronunciation. Zhuge Liang. I probably butchered that terribly. Who is known for his brilliant stratagems. The term is often seen in hacked video games, particularly ones of extreme difficulty. What the heck kind of Komei's trap is this, lol? The world changes if you click it. Lol, what? I tried to act like he wasn't scaring me. Honestly, I didn't even want to talk to this guy. He was making me nervous. I could feel myself sweating. Was this Shogun guy even Japanese? If he wasn't, there'd be no way I could talk to him. Huh? He was talking normally. I felt a little relieved. Sorry for scaring you. Nah, it's cool, man. Why were you lurking? Did somebody tell you to lurk for 6 months before you could type? I was thinking. Where are you from? For some reason there was a strange pause. Shibuya. The articles I just read about the New Generation incidents came racing back into my mind. Just envisioning them in my mind was bad enough. If I'd seen them in reality, I don't think I could have handled it. A man's stomach ripped open, the body of an unborn baby stuffed inside. When those 5 friends jumped off a building, they were probably just chunks of meat after they landed. Just imagining it made me want to vomit. I quickly shook my head to get those images out of my mind. This Shogun guy was just so shady. It was making me delusional when I didn't need to be. I wished he would just go away. I'm from Shibuya too. A lot of weird stuff's happening here lately, huh? It's not over. Shibuya. Shake and shiver. Fun to the power of 10 x int to the power of 40 equals LR2. What the fuck? Is this Shogun guy just crazy? I'm really smart, and I'd never seen that formula before. I decided to run a search for it. At times like these, it was just great to have access to an internet connection. Huh? I'm not getting any hits. Is this guy just trying to pretend? Is this guy just trying to pretend to be smart and writing some nonsense formula? It didn't make any sense. This formula has murdered the possibilities of the world. I have no idea what that means. Anyway, what was that link? Am I actually supposed to click on it? Lol. I thought you might be interested. I don't like the number of links he's posting. Is the rest of the game like this? He typed in several URLs at blinding speed. What was this guy's deal? Was he just entertaining himself by trying to scare me? Was he a buddy of Grimm's and they were having fun with me? I felt the gaze again and looked around the room, but of course there was nothing there but a filthy, dark room, the same as always. I felt a strange sense of terror. Feeling like you were constantly being watched kept you from ever truly relaxing. Don't look at me. When I said the words, I could tell my voice was shaking. My old filthy room felt like something completely different now. They say that sometimes after you watch a horror movie or TV show, or hear a friend tell you a scary story, even a place you know well, like your own house, will start to seem strange and terrifying, and you'll be too scared to even go to the bathroom alone at night. Right now I was experiencing something just like that. I'm not letting you trick me. Shaking, I leaned toward the monitor and I suddenly felt my right hand index finger tense up as I clicked one of Shogun's links. Hey, no! To be honest, I had no idea why I had done that. It wasn't like my hand moved on its own or anything like that. It was as if I had done it without thinking. That was the only way I could describe it. It felt exactly like the wrong thing to do, but still I found myself clicking it, as if the motion was completely natural. What the hell is this? I found myself staring at what seemed to be some kind of strange work of art. Something that looked like a porcupine or pincushion, nailed to the wall in the shape of a cross, and beneath the porcupine or pincushion or whatever the hell it was a pool of something red and black. There were also all these little piles of something that kind of looked like garbage. What the hell was this? The world of some self-proclaimed avant-garde artist? You know, one of those guys who'd make something disgusting and then say with a completely straight face, I wanted to give expression to the chaos of this world. Not interested in that modern art crap, guys. It was strange, though. It wasn't really a Guru image. It looked Guru-ish, but that was as far as it went. So why? Why did it feel so real? Why did it feel like I was right there watching it happen? Could a hallucination make you smell blood so intensely that you wanted to throw up? Could a hallucination smell so strong you wanted to vomit? I started to feel a pain in my temples. The urge to vomit wouldn't go away. I tried to grab the mouse, but my hands were shaking too badly. My hand slipped off the desk and ended up grabbing the thing's cord instead. I moved it up the cord and put it back on top of the mouse pad, then closed the image. As I breathed a sigh of relief, I saw... Whose eyes are those? I glared at the minimum necessary school schedule I'd created. Oh, whoops. I'd never gotten to see Bloodtoon in real time last night. Of course, I saw it when it was up to MewTube, but so it didn't matter. But I still didn't feel any better. The last thing Shogun had said before he left, it was like he knew how scared I was of God's gaze. It couldn't possibly be a coincidence. I tried to think of how he might know. Had my personal info leaked? Or was this somebody from ESO who was out to get me? A godlike player like me had lots of friends, but also lots of enemies. Well, most of those enemies were just haters, though. You know, guys who were jealous of Nightheart's strength and charisma. It was best to just ignore them, I'd always found. No, that wasn't what was important now. Even after I'd logged into ESO, I couldn't stop wondering who he was, to the point where I couldn't even concentrate on my grinding. And to make matters worse, today was the worst day possible. It was, unfortunately, a day where I had to go to the school. But we'll worry more about that on the next episode. Holy shit, my throat. Even without actually like trying to go for the chain smoker voice that comes with the Solid Snake territory, it's like my throat just gradually closed on its own. But yeah, let's I think there's a good place to cut off the episode. I'm liking this. I'm liking this visual novel so far. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next episode. If you enjoyed the video, then no further actions required on your part. And yeah, see you next episode.